There we go, that's working. Let's try this then. Unboxing of the Seba skates. Let's see how we get on. Trying not to slice my hands to bits this time. Let's just get that out of there. That's really nice. They give you a skate tool, and they give you these little, I think they're like spare rubber covers for something. I think they're just like separate scratch covers for the boot. I'll check that in a second and see. But that's nice and handy. So these are the size 9 Sebas that I got. The liners, straight away I could feel those liners are amazing. This is the boot only version. That's nice. Nice and wide. Hang on. Get a good shot of that. The laces aren't laced up, so you can lace them any way you want, I guess. Which is also kind of good, I suppose. The top of the boot kind of feels pretty firm, but like it's definitely a soft boot, which is nice. Definitely feels more solid than what I'm used to, for sure. But I think that's going to be okay with a bit of use. The liner's also really nice and high on the cuff, which is great. Seba Street Series is composed with very light and comfortable skates which are able to do all the tricks you want. You can adapt street frames or freeride UFS frames for fast skating, and add or remove the sole plates depending on your daily wishes. Sick. So that's one. Velcro shock absorber inserts for the boots. They're really nice. This is size 8 to 12, so they must just be standard. They kind of feel like hard foam almost. Nevertheless, they're quite nice. Cool, so that's everything out of the box. That's the other boot ready to go. I'll get a better view of these in a second. I'll just get rid of this box. Lift this up a bit as well so we can see a bit better. Oh yeah. They look really nice. They look really, really nice. So, I've got a load of junk around because I'm sorting a bunch of different things today. It's nice to give you a tool to assemble everything. That's really handy. So you've got your standard skate tool. It doesn't have the little bearing puller bit on the end, which is nice because they just snap anyway. I know they're really for just pressing stuff out rather than pulling it, but I always end up using them to pull stuff and they just snap. Not sure what these are for. They're like squishy rubber. I thought they would have been for like on here or something like that, but don't seem to be. Unless you can take these off and pop these rubber caps in instead, maybe, for like a smoother look. I don't know. They seem to be the same size as where the bolt holes are, so I think that's probably what it is that they just push in, but I don't know. Right, what I do need to do is I need to get my other skates now and swap the frames across. And also, I'm going to take the liner out and just see kind of exactly how it is. Liner release is an interesting bit here. You pull this up. It's quite tight. It looks quite secure. I think it would be fiddly to get it off, but it's kind of like an up and pull back. But it seems really strong, like really strong. And of course you have the 45-degree strap there as well. Which will pull that out. That looks much stronger than the REMS one. I have the same one on the REMS, I'll show you in a minute, and the REMS one is pretty annoying, to be honest, because it's not anchored very securely. This is really secure and it's replaceable. The REMS one's like a plastic stitched in buckle type thing, which doesn't really work very well, and it did snap on me, sadly. Okay, so there's like a double liner here. That's kind of cool. So the actual boot itself has this. I don't know if you can see that very well. There you go. So that liner there is like an actual, that's part of the skate. That's the actual soft boot of the skate. The cuff goes over the top. So you could actually probably ride these cuffless if you wanted. I don't know how advised that would be, but you could actually probably run these cuffless. Has a nice V cut on the back, but then the liner actually comes out of the soft boot. The liner just looks like the normal Seba comfort liner. There we go, normal Seba liner, looks really nice. Super comfortable, stitching is perfect on it. All the way around, there's no weird spots. It's like a really nice squishy neoprene. It's also got a really nicely shaped tongue on it as well, which I think will hold you quite securely if that's what you want. I'm pushing in the foot pad on the bottom of here as well. The foot pad in the bottom is really nice, so that's good. The tongue is not the chunkiest, but the liner does feel really comfortable. It's thin, but it's comfortable. You can see it's not the thickest liner ever, but it's a really nice comfortable liner. And then there's like a rubber shock absorber stuck to the bottom here, which I think is fine, we'll just leave that. And the Velcro shock absorber must just stick onto the bottom of the boot. Yes, that just sticks on the bottom like that. I prefer that anyway, to be honest. Not the... It's pretty secure once you push it on. It doesn't feel secure when you're putting it on, but it is secure once it's on there. I don't know if I have that the right way round. It doesn't seem to tell you. Ah, never mind. They both seem to be the same anyway, almost. That's one thing, no instructions in the box. I would assume it's the way I've got it. Just from the way it looks in the bottom of the boot. Yeah, I think it's right. So I think it's this one. If you lay it in the bottom of the boot, it sits flat. Like that whole section there stays flat across it. These were originally made as a one-piece boot. So an all-in-one with the liner built in. This is the new model. This is the CJ2 Prime. And the CJ2 Prime has the removable liner. So you end up with this doubled up liner effect. It's really nice though. Like that feels insanely comfortable inside, like insanely comfortable inside. Like I can't even begin to describe how nice that boot feels so far. Also, putting in the heel lift seems to give you a little bit more liner higher up, above this cuff here, the fabric part of the boot. It lifts the liner up just above it a little more, which is nice. You can kind of see how soft the boot is here as well when you press it. It's quite movable, and it has a really nice kind of foam coating almost. It's like thin, but it's not just fabric and then hard boot liner. It's like fabric, and it's got a little bit of squish to it just in the right spots around where the laces are and stuff. Again, I mean, look at all the breathability on these liners. I mean, they're holes all the way through the neoprene, all the way around both sides, and even on the instep. You've got all this breathability here as well. So they've really thought about a comfortable liner that breathes. Buckles as well, the buckles look nice. They don't have a lock on them. They don't lock. They just kind of lift up and go back down, which I guess is kind of nice. They have this little weird bit here as well on it. I don't quite get why this is here. I don't know if I like that. We're going to find out. But it is a standard kind of buckle mounting system under there. Don't know if you can see that yet. There's 2 screws there for mounting the buckle. And there's 1 screw on this side as well. So it's fairly standard. I think you could swap the buckles out if there was anything you didn't like about it. I'm going to grab some rems and take the frames off them and put them on here. Oh, one final thing I've noticed as well. They've already cut out the sole plates. So on here on the sole plates it's already cut out. So if you're using frames and larger wheels, you might not actually have to grind these down because they've already done it for you, which is kind of nice. Sometimes with the larger wheels, you have to grind these bits out so the wheels don't touch. If you're running a kind of bigger wheel, so in the 60mm upwards anti-rocker setup, they've done it for you, so that's nice. Alright, I'll grab my skates. So I've got my new skates, which are, well, my new skates, which are these Sebas, the CJ2 Prime. And what I also have is my old skate, which is the Rems Team Skate. Now I used to skate Rems way back, and the problem I've found is now these bits here are too tight. They're too hard on wide feet. They used to be really good for wide feet. You used to have to swap the liner out. You can see I've got the Seba liners in here as well. I don't know if I'll end up using these liners or the liners that come with the Sebas yet, because I really like these liners as well, and I skate quite loose. So we'll wait and see. It depends how much flex I get and how much I like it. But we'll work it out as we go along. But yeah, we're going to take the frames off these. These are just ground control frames. I've always skated ground control frames and I love them for this huge space here that you can get and you can decide whether or not you want to run rockers in this little section, which is nice. And also you have this replaceable plate on the outside, which is kind of cool. But I'm going to swap these onto the Sebas anyway, which should take a couple of minutes, literally. And then, yeah, we'll see how they go. Well, the new skate tool works without breaking, so that's a good start. So these sole kits on the rims, I had to grind them out to get them to fit, but these ones actually seem alright so far. I mean, you can see here the wheels don't really stick out above the frame. These ones anyway, these are 59mm I think? 60mm? I think they're 59 or 60mm undercover wheels. Oh no, these are the 58s, sorry, I tell a lie. 58 undercover wheels. I'm wanting to go up to 60s though, so it'd be really nice if I can go up to 60s or 64s. I normally skate quite small wheels, and you know, I kind of feel that I'm past that point and I should get onto the bigger wheels because I see everyone else skating much easier with the bigger ones. We'll find out. Right. So this apparently should be really easy. Just take the plate off the bottom, put the frame on, and away we go. So as you can see here, as soon as you take the plate off the bottom, you have the base of the boot, which actually looks kind of ugly. I don't know if I would ever skate these without the sole plate, even if I had different frames. I mean, they look really nice without the sole plate, but just the way it finishes on the bottom, there's no kind of, you know, it's neat, but I don't think I would skate these without the sole plate. It just hides this ugly bit here where it's been glued and trimmed. So this is a 41 to 43 sole plate, so UK size 7 to UK 9. Okay, first issue, bolts are too short. Gonna have to use the other bolts. Because the bolts that come with the Sebas are too small apparently to get through the sole plate and the frame. Yeah, definitely a longer bolt by the looks of things. So side by side, there's just a little bit more on the ground control bolt, so I'll stick these spare bolts in the rims for now, I think. They must make the bottoms of frames thinner now or something. Because these frames definitely need the chunky bolts. Like, there's a good few mil difference between the two. So I reckon that would be an issue otherwise. Yeah, so I can already see here as well, plenty of room between the wheel and the frame, like plenty of room. So no issues getting bigger wheels in these. I would say you could easily get 64s in there, no problems at all. The only issue I am seeing just now is that the frame is very slightly too wide for the sole plate kit. Just very slightly too wide. So I'm going to have to modify that, I think. That could be why those other bolts weren't fitting. That could actually be the reason, is that the frame isn't fitting into the sole plate properly. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to need to modify the frame or the sole plate, because that is not right. Does not want to fit in those sole plates at all. It's 40.7 mil wide. And it's 40.1 wide on sole kit. I think I need to get an electric sander on this. I'll be back in a minute after I've done some sanding. Right, so after a bit of modifying, I've managed to get the frames on. I just had to grind a little bit out the top of the frame, just scrape a bit out just to get it to fit. Now it fits perfectly. So yeah, I'm going to take my skate, see how we get on with them. Fingers crossed it's all good. I still don't know how I'm going to feel about this buckle. I'm not the biggest fan. I might end up changing it for a fabric strap instead. Might end up taking the one off the Rems cuff and using that. But again, we'll wait and see. I don't know exactly how I feel about it just yet. It's a little bit more secure than I'm used to. The liners are super comfy. Got a little bit of heel lift just now. Just a little bit, but I don't know if that's because I have the riser in the heel or not. I kind of need to like A-B between the Rems and that one and just kind of see. I don't think I have a proper heel lift in the Rems, so I may end up taking the heel lift out. I don't know, we'll wait and see. It all depends. The heel lift does seem to be kind of handy though, simply because of the fact that the cuffs are a little tight just now. But failing that, I mean, I might end up taking the cuffs off altogether and putting a Rems cuff on them with a fabric strap. That's what I normally like to ride, is a fabric strap instead of a plastic strap just on the top. So we'll wait and see, because normally I don't bother with laces too much. I just kind of clamp that down and clamp the fabric one down a bit to kind of suit. But I like to be able to kind of sit and rest with my foot on its side of the frame and the sole plate. So we'll wait and see. Going to take my spin, see how we get on with them. But so far, First impressions of the Sebas CJ2 Prime. Beautiful. Really nice skates. They weigh a lot less than the Rems as well. A lot less than the Rems. So it's going to be really interesting. The sole space is very slightly smaller than the Rems, I think, but I don't know if that's just because I'm not used to it. But we'll wait and we'll find out. Okay, I'm back after the first skate on the Sebas. Got to say, just off the bat, super happy with them. Like, super happy with them. I have scuffed these up a lot today, doing all sorts of grinds. Just getting used to them, getting them set up. And just kind of working out what I want to do with them. Couple of things. I did end up cutting the buckle. I cut that extra plastic off the buckle. I'm going to tidy it up a bit more. I did it with a knife in the skate park. It definitely gets in the way. Definitely. I also cracked the bolts off slightly on the cuff, just to give it a bit of flex. They do have thread lock on there. They're on really tight. So I cracked them off a bit, just to give them a bit more room. But on the whole, really like them. First impressions, it was a bit weird. I had to grind the edges of my frames down very slightly to make them fit. The actual gap on this is only... So the actual gap on this is only about 40 mil on the bottom of the sole plate. So when putting frames on, if your frames are slightly bigger than 40 to 41 mil, you're definitely going to have to grind down the edge of the frame slightly just to make them fit. I just kind of ground it down at a 45-degree angle on the top of the frame where it goes in. Then it popped straight in, no issues at all, fits really nice and solid. The original bolts you get with it are really too short for most frames. I think they'd be fine if you were running thin frames, but I really think that the bolts that come with it are pretty bad. They've got a nice wide head on, they look like good quality bolts, but they're too short. So be aware of that if you're using frames that have a bit more of a thicker base on the frame. If you're using a frame that has a thin bit on it, where it joins to the skate, you'd probably be okay. But these older ground control frames, it was a bit chunkier on the mating surface, so I had to use the longer bolts from my Rems to get them to fit, because otherwise they just weren't going to fit. When I first put the skates on, the fit, it's actually a lot tighter than you think. It's way tighter than you think. So when you put them on, it feels super tight. I ended up actually loosening off the 45-degree strap quite considerably. I had it fairly solid to begin with, but I ended up loosening off the laces a lot. Ended up loosening off the 45-degree strap as well a lot, and only putting the buckle in a couple of clicks on the strap, just because it was really quite tight. I do have very wide feet, but the liners were very tight to begin with. I wouldn't recommend racking the liners up tight to begin with, because it will crush your feet, and it did crush my feet. But the liners are super comfy. I didn't use the heel lift block in the end. I took that out. I didn't like it. I felt that it moved my foot too far up the boot. And I was getting a lot more heel lift that I had to deal with. Not having the heel block in there has kind of solved that completely. It's fine now, basically. And cutting that bit of plastic off the front of the buckle is amazing, because the buckle really does dig into you if you try and move your foot forward. If you skate more upright, if you skate harder shells anyway, I can't see you having a problem. Like if you skate razors or something, you'll probably be fine because you're used to it. But definitely, anything else, you'd be hard pressed, I think, to be happy with that. So it does have cut marks on it as well. It has points where you can cut it. it just shows you can cut it different recommended lengths. I cut it a little past that, and it's been absolutely fine for me. There's been no issues at all there. They're super light, super nice. I actually started overshooting, jumping into grinds to begin with because they were so light, and even stalling and stuff compared to rems, so much lighter. I've done a lot on them today, and they are really comfy. I did expect them to be a little bit wider, just on the sides, just on this section, but now the liners are moulding in, it's much better. The first couple of times, as I said, I just kept them loose after the first couple of skates around because I was in a fair bit of foot pain with them, and that was just because they hadn't moulded in. They are very tight to begin with. I did try and swap out the liner for my Seba balance liner. That's a really nice liner I've used in the rems, which actually made me think about buying these Sebas in the first place. The only thing I would say about swapping out liners is you are definitely going to have to go for a thin liner. Go for an Intuition, go for a Rain V3, something like that. The thicker liners, like the Seba Balance liner, which is kind of the premium chunky liner, it didn't fit. It's not going to fit. I put it in, and it was literally folding in on itself. It was that tight. And I mean, that is a size 9 liner trying to go into a size 9 boot. There is no chance. You definitely need a thin liner for these. The only way you would get that to fit is if you were getting a size 10 boot and putting a size 9 liner in it. Otherwise, if you want chunky liners, it's not going to happen. But apart from that, I actually really enjoy them. Yeah, I can skate them fairly loose, similar to my rems. They are still needing broken in a bit. Definitely needing broken in a little bit. But on the whole, absolutely amazing skates. Super light. Definitely working well with my wide foot. I'm not getting any of the arch pain or anything else I was getting with the rems. And I'm not getting those horrible crushing pressure points. The liners are heat molding in really nicely now, just from skating them. I think if I did a proper heat molding with like a rice sock or something, it would probably mold a bit better. But I'm happy just skating them around loose just now, to be honest. So my recommendation would be definitely skate them loose to begin with. Don't tighten anything up too crazy, and just gradually tighten as you go with them, because otherwise you will just crush your foot. These liners fit super tight. But yeah, apart from that, absolutely amazing skates. The only issues I can see people having is literally the bolts for the frames, getting the frames to fit, because the notch on the sole plate is quite narrow. I don't know why they didn't just make it a mil or so wider, maybe 2 mil at most. But yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest. And the cuff, cutting that bit of plastic out of the cuff. I don't know why they even had that bit there to begin with. It makes no sense. But apart from that, absolutely amazing. And yeah, loosen off the cuff bolts as well, just to give yourself a bit more flex, if you like to be able to flex forward a bit. But apart from that, absolutely amazing skates. Super light, way lighter than the rems by a fair chunk, and just really enjoyable to skate. It's a different vibe to my previous skates. I've skated rems almost all my life. But yeah, I can't get rems to fit me anymore, so I'm not doing that anymore. And I love these, to be honest. This is a venture into going more towards a hard shell boot again. I did expect the top to be softer. It is very much still a hard shell, even though it's got the fabric outside. It's kind of a solid toe cap up to here, and then this is a little softer on the top. So solid toe cap, a little bit softer here, a little bit softer here. There was a bit of a pressure point in underneath the 45-degree strap on the outside that was pushing into my foot. That's another reason why I didn't use the heel lift, because that made that worse. It felt like there was plastic in there. I don't know why, but there's a curved piece of plastic in there that curves in, and on my foot it digs into the top of the top and side of my foot. Super annoying. But again, that seems to have worked itself out now to a degree. With the liners heat molding now, it's starting to go away. I can actually see all the pressure points on my foot in the liner now have molded out. So yeah, to be honest, having not skated a harder shell skate in years and going straight into these, I mean, I managed everything without a big issue. So far, I definitely recommend them. Everything seems super easy. Replacement sole kits are like £30. Super easy to replace them. You know, everything seems really well built. It is one of the best built, most solid skates I have ever seen. And every single bit that you would think of to replace is replaceable. Easy. And even this strap being on a bolt, you know, this strap here being on a bolt, amazing. If you break the strap, take it off, replace it. No issues at all. It's bolted on both sides, so there's no problem if you have to replace anything at all on it. It's there. I even experimented a bit. I took the cuff off, I put the Rems cuff on. Kind of enjoyed that bit as well. That might be something I do later down the line. Right now, probably not, but we'll wait and see. But so far, so good. Seba CJ2 Prime, great skate. I love it so far. You know, we'll see where we go with it. Hopefully we'll get some park stuff at some point in the next week. Indoors, and we'll, you know, get to try them out on some bigger ramps and some bowls and stuff. It was raining today, so we didn't get a huge amount done, but we got a whole bunch done. But it would be nice to try them indoors now and see how far they go. But so far so good. Enjoying the change. Very, very light skates. Crazy comfortable once you break them in, because they do need broken in. But yeah, I love them. Happy days.